level practitioner is concerned about all these actions of body, speech and mind resulting in at least a better human rebirth after I've finished here. So you're talking generational consideration. Is every activity you're doing right now thinking about the poor bastard that's going to inherit your mind with their new body? That they think they're them, right? But you've caused all their trouble. Like, just like some other being thinking that they were them produced all the stuff you've got to deal with right now. Is that really how you're thinking about your lives? Because if you are, then you're a person of the lesser capacity. See how I mean it's not a choice? It's like that. I choose higher capacity. I can barely manage lower capacity. I'm on this path most of the time. I'm on there on the toilet all day. Brains. Okay.
But it's still this awareness that's in that body, right?
Yeah, but it's not. It's no longer
as that other person.
Yeah, you're still we're locked in this zombieism.
Right.
We really think that boss is doing this. We really think, and it's just a downward spiral because it's wrong. It's not a truth. It's not a fact. I failed to say before, the reason they're called Arial truths is, maybe I did, is because you become an Arya, Pakpa, at the point of seeing emptiness directly. You are guaranteed out of this zombieism because you've seen the fabric, the code, which makes things. You know the real code. You're not working with things that are disconnected. You're not working with ignorance. I mean, you're undoing ignorance, as I'm going to talk right now. So they're called Arial truths because an Arya experiences them as truths, as facts, after they come out of the experience of emptiness. They recognize them as facts, just like the Buddha did, hence his first teaching. Yeah? So then, this is pre-path. Let's get rid of that.
Love that.
And let's go the first path. The first path on the Buddhist track is the path of accumulation. You are gathering energy. You're accumulating merit with this afflicted mind as you have or don't have. You are already fed up with the way things work. You have renunciation. You still engage in work. You still engage in relationships. You still engage in eating. You still engage in partying. You still have fun. You're not here. You're still putting on clothes or taking them off, or you're still here, right? So don't think they're like it's some thing out there, over there. We're talking about you. We're talking about you here. The path of accumulation is a state of mind that says, I'm fed up with trying the same thing that the 7 billion humans are trying right now, and for time without beginning, human creatures on this planet and beyond have tried to get happy and haven't found it. I'm tired of looking for that because I've had enough mistakes, I've had enough disasters, I've had enough problems, I've got enough forward thinking to realize it's a waste of time. It's a race against time. So the path of accumulation is you begin to get serious about getting merit. You have strong renunciation. Therefore, your actions now have a different motivation, right? And you see this line here towards the end, at a certain point of the path of accumulation, where you're accumulating merit and wisdom, right? You're accumulating insight into what's really making this thing work. You've bumped into the suffering of the first truth, and you're investigating the source of that suffering, and you're bumping into ignorance and emptiness, no self-existence. And you begin to intellectually play with it. And at some point, at the path of accumulation, you stop. You stop the causes, the ignorant causes that produce a lower suffering rebirth. As a result of truly investigating, recognizing that you are separating from this samsaric existence, that intention, that naturally born intention from renunciation, produces the result of not being able to be born in anything lower than a human realm. It makes sense because that's a projection. That's the coding you're doing it. It's not like I'm trying to do it. You're actually doing it through your motivation of actions. So the path of accumulation at some point is marked. There comes a point where you intellectually understand enough about the fabric of existence, how things dependently arise, that you can't ever generate the causes for anything other than a human rebirth. Bing, first lower level capacity achieved, right? So there's the goal of the lower level practitioner. It's not so low, even though it's called lower level. It's low in comparison to the others. That's a high spiritual attainment. The recognition that in this human life, this precious human life we have right now, out of all the infinite things we could possibly do, we could eat and work and house and clothe and bathe and fun and play and jump and sex and poo and all these things which must necessarily end. I'm not saying there's terrible things. I'm just saying they're gone when you're gone. You can't take the house, they're gone. The only thing you're left with is your motivation, your mind, the imprints. That's the thing that continues. Out of all the things you could do, all of a sudden you decide on a big thing to do, and there is no more suffering. Renunciation. I'm sick of it. But not sick as in paralyzed sick. I'm actively sick of it. I'm doing something about it, sick of it. It's not like a defeat. It's a win. It's like, I understand enough about karma and emptiness. I understand things are not from their own side. All of a sudden, you have complete power over your experience of life. And so you dedicate your life to understanding deeper how to cause a greater experience of life, an ultimate experience of life, which takes us to path number 2. You get serious. You start studying and accumulating, and here the path of preparation. What's the path of preparation? What are you preparing for?
To see empty inside.
You're preparing to become a preparator, to have a complete experience of the ultimate thing. So you are studying. This takes classroom hours. If we're in a classroom, this takes retreat time. This takes deep intellectual understanding. This takes deconstruction. This takes analysis. This takes practice. Yeah? Path of preparation. Let me see if I've done it. Then you have the path of seeing. Based upon all the virtue that you've accumulated, all the practice from the path of preparation, you have enough courses in your mind to force an experience of seeing the fabric of reality. And this can only happen in meditation. I think I made a mistake. No, I didn't make a mistake. No. I wanted to say that, see how I put this line over here for a person of a lesser scope, you can no longer have a lower rebirth. I just remembered at this point, just before entering the path of seeing, you have a visceral, alive realization of dependent origination. So you have your mind, you've been working your mind, understanding wisdom, practicing, generating enough virtue through your deeds of body, speech and mind. You've been meditating at a regular basis where you begin to have control over your body and your mind, and you are taming your mind both through the Vinaya and through practice of meditation. And just before entering the path of seeing, you have a direct experience of dependent origination, where you see how you construct your reality and how it is a projection. You see it as an experience. And then that forces you to sit on the cushion if you've got that practice, if you've got the habituation of practicing meditation. You can't let go searching for a meditation practice. So they're linked, and you sit on your cushion, and this path of seeing only takes a very short time, 15-20 minutes max, and then the tail end of that is coming down from that experience, and you have the four aerial truths. And at that point, you're marked as a being. You're no longer a being that will be locked in samsara. You see the Dharmakaya, you see the emptiness of a Buddha's mind in that moment. And we have a cessation. So you have a cessation here, which is a cessation of coming back as anything lower than human. You have a cessation here, which says, my days as a cycling being in samsara are numbered. You know you can't ever come back lower than a human. You know that you might have 3, 5, 7, 20 lifetimes before you become enlightened or reach nirvana.
So, just before the path of seeing, like when you have the visceral experience of dependent origination, is that the point that you can no longer come back to the...
No, that's here. That's at the end of the path of accumulation.
At the end of the path of accumulation?
Yeah.
I thought you said at the end of the path of accumulation you can no longer be in the lower rebirth.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm asking is, when is it between the path of preparation and seeing that you escape the circle of samsara?
No, you haven't yet escaped the circle. No.
Right, okay.
At this point, you
It's
know that that's
after-
coming.
Oh, okay.
So that's all.
That's what the
At
second
the end
line
of the path
Yeah?
of seeing.
The second dotted line is your at the end of the path of seeing. So the path of seeing consists of being pushed into that state of meditation because of having a direct experience of dependent origination. You've got a meditation practice, which means that you've been practicing meditation for a while and you've got enough virtue to generate this experience because it's a projection. Yeah, it's a real thing. So I'm using the word projection because that's what the mind does upon empty objects. You're having a direct experience of the ultimate nature of everything, which takes so much karma. It means you have to have so much virtue. It means the path of preparation, you're just cranking up atomic energy in the consciousness of your being in order to pop that experience.
So that's the second dotted line.
These are cessations. This is a cessation of ever coming back anything other than a human. This is it. Cessation of doubt. Yeah, because you saw the Dharmakaya. Now you are a different being altogether. From this point on, you are bound out. You are out of samsara. You just don't know. Well, you do know roughly how many lifetimes because you've seen it in the direct perception of emptiness. Or after you come down, you recognize that you've seen it. And so you are marked out, but each individual has different times out. Yeah. If you are in the bodhisattva track, which means every action of body, speech, and mind is that alchemical elixir that things of others and not just yourself to get out. This marks your period until you become a Buddha. If you're in the Hinayana track, if you're in the Nirvana track, this marks the point at which you reach Nirvana. Yeah.
It's heavy shit.
Yeah. So imagine the experience that your mind could have in meditation. It could happen in any of the meditations you do if you've been doing meditation, that enough virtue pops into a realization of emptiness. And then if you've got enough practice ease, you can abide in that experience before coming out of it. And when you come out of it, the world still appears the same, but now you can see beyond the curtain. Yeah? But your cessation is you no longer have doubt about this path. Up until this point, doubt is all the way along. Right? People are doubting their capacity to shift life all the way along this path. At this point, that's finished. You have a certainty beyond a doubt that you're onto something. And what you're onto something then becomes a path of habituation. And habituation is called the path of habituation because you are returned right here in this experience with the same job, with the same partner, with the same bed, with the same apartment, with the same trains, with the same afflicted mind. The only difference is that you know it's a lie. So your job from now on is habituating your mind to what you just saw in the path of seeing. It's remembering that there are no self-existent things. You just experience that as a visceral thing, not as an intellectual thing. You know it in the fabric of your being that this way I'm experiencing Jacqueline with all the beauty that I see in her nature and all this other thing. There's nothing to do with that creature called Jacqueline. She could be interpreting herself better or worse. But my experience of this creature is completely a reflection of what's in my mind. And over there it's a lovely mind. And over here it's a painful mind. And over here, and all of a sudden, after this part, you begin to habituate your world to what you just saw. That's why I know some monks that go and hang out with the people that make them angriest, so they can remove the seeds for distaste quickly.
That's why Geshe Tashi hangs out with us.
Yeah, that's why Geshe Tashi hangs out with us. It's so true. It's so true. So then you have a period of time. I don't know how to give you a metaphor for this. Again, music, when I was learning scales, I didn't get what they were forcing me to move my fingers, and then I could hear a sharp scale and a flat scale, and all of a sudden I got something about the feeling of the fingers going in that order meant that the sound was a different way, and I felt it. It was very different to being told it. Being told it, felt it. Every time I played the scales thereafter, I knew what I was doing. It wasn't that I was trying to force it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the path of habituation is, I just got this golden ticket, the code behind the fabric of reality. Oops, it closed itself. Here I am again. I know what lies behind this. And it's my mind, my virtue, and my understanding of emptiness. The faster I want it to go is the stronger I better remember this emptiness. You're still going to have shitty things happen to you. You're still going to have dilemmas. You're still in this world. Anything that started in this world must end.
And you're still going to plant negative karmas too.
No, because if you remember, you're habituating your mind.
But
You will experience the result of all your previous karmas, yeah. Including experiencing yourself removing them all together. As infected karmas, if you like.
I mean, I don't know if this is a planned conversation, but knowing that, you're a projection of my mind, and after going through the path of seeing, could you still make the mistake of getting angry at a self? I don't know.
You would still have the habit for it. You would still have the habit for it, but you couldn't unknow what you're doing. In fact, if you did do a shitty thing, it might be even faster and stronger the response, your experience of it. The thing is that at this point, you have a visceral vision. This is called the extraordinary vision. You have a vision of what your lives are like, yeah, and you know that the basis of your lives are this, and the corruptions are in a certain way, yeah.
One other question: in a following rebirth, do you know that you've seen?
It's a good question too. The answer is yes. At a certain moment in your, and usually around the age of teenage years, you have and so what happens after that? You go through, by the way, here, if you're on the Bodhisattva track, if you're not on the Bodhisattva track, after this you reach Nirvana, right? You are free of mental afflictions. Yeah, and there's two kinds of Nirvana. with something remaining and with nothing remaining, right? Something remaining means your mind is clean and beautiful and you're in a state of nirvana, nothing afflicts you, meaning someone could stab you and you would feel pain but not suffering, yeah? Because that thing remaining must decay, it's got to finish. Or at the end, when that body passes, when the courses for that body is finished, then you enter a different kind of body, mental, yeah? More mental. If you're not on the medium capacity track and you're in the alchemical elixir track, the bodhisattva track, what happens once you've perfected or habituated your mind to what you've seen? You act with wisdom, which means every virtue is atomically powered because you're acting correctly towards the courses of life. Yeah. What's the result? What's the last part?
No more learning.
No more learning. Yeah, which means Buddhahood. Yeah. Bingo body. Yeah. Okay. Or nirvana, right? If you're in the Hinayana track. So, what's the instruction for that alchemical elixir? If the instruction for the lesser capacity is practice the 10 non-virtues and take refuge, practice the 10 non-virtues and take refuge, and that gets you to the low-level capacity practitioner, or little person they call it, or lesser scope, and understanding and going through the 4 Arial truths gets you the medium scope, going through the 4 Arial truths gets you to the medium scope, yeah, not just remembering it from class, yeah, having an experience of intimacy, yeah. What gets you Buddhahood? Doing all that activity with bodhicitta. Great, thank you. And that's what I want to talk about right now. To summarize those, this great path, the Mahayana path, it's the 6 perfections. In fact, it's the next 3 courses. So the last course I'll teach this year will be the Bodhisattva Charavatara by Master Shantideva, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, the guide on how to do these perfections, how to create the alchemical elixir that transmutes base metal into gold, yeah? And base metal being any action of body, speech and mind that we do now, if it doesn't have this motivation, it's just going to give you good results. So any kind of giving is just going to give you more giving. That will wear out and turn to crap. It'll just be a bigger house that breaks down. It'll just be a bigger job that goes away. Alchemical elixir is you do the same activity, but instead of getting the house or the job, you get enlightenment. Because you're thinking about every single other creature on the planet. But you're still doing the same activity. So you've got to think what we should discuss why that would work. Why would shifting the motivation, why is that a chemical elixir? Because it turns it in base metal, normal house that breaks down, into gold, an experience of a realm beyond this suffering life for you and every being that you could conceive of. And that's why you got to go. And I love that. So I'll go over them quickly because you know them. I won't go very long. Yeah? It's the elixir that makes you perfect, right? So we can't practice. They're called the perfections, but not because we do them perfectly, but because it gets us to perfection. Us doing them is a perfection, but it's only perfected in an enlightened mind. Yeah? So the first and the basis of it all is giving. It's the perfection of giving. And they say you give it 3 levels, 3 capacities, right? You give material things, food and shelter and house, and clothes, etc. And then you give protection from fear and hurt and so on. But ultimately, you give wisdom. You give dharma. Dharma not as in, I'll give you Buddha's dharma, but dharma for that creature that's in front of you that needs something, some knowledge, some awareness, and you have that awareness and you give it to them. And you do it in a way not to get something back, not to collect karma, but you do it for them. And in some wish, as you're giving them food, or as you're giving them protection, or as you're giving them some advice, you think, may this have a seed inside this interaction with them that will get them out of samsara. That's bodhicitta. So you sit with the old lady, you sit with your friend, you listen to the crazy person on the park bench, you sit in front of the crazy of the subway, and they need something from you, and you do to your capacity, very important instruction, and you give them, but you must have the elixir part, the quicksilver, which is the mercury part of mixing the alchemical elements. This is the motivation that in this interaction, may that creature over there at some point, because of this interaction, may they fully awaken, truly wake up, and help all the people around them to wake up. Whether it's a piece of bread you're giving them, whether it's a nice look, or whether it's a snub. Whatever it is that you're motivated to do with them. This is bodhisattva work.
Does that at all come from understanding that everything is one, or we are all one, and this is just an illusion of self, or it has nothing to do?
No, it's perfect, because the levels depend on each other. You can't be a person of a medium scope trying to get free from samsara without having renunciation and the lesser scope to start with. And you can't be a person of bodhisattva track without understanding that every single experience of beings that I'm having is nothing but a projection. The way I'm experiencing them is a projection of me. We are one. There is no separateness. The illusion of separateness is what causes us the problem.
Right.
So having that wisdom and then acting on that wisdom, even though we're living in a world that's telling us the opposite. The world is telling us we're separate. The world is telling me if I collect my money, it's mine and it's be better than for you. My world tells me that. So acting against that with wisdom that recognizes we are not separate. We are nothing but dependent. That feeding you is feeding me. If we do it with that awareness, then you're doing it with wisdom. Yeah? But then you're acting in accord with your reality, which is there is a being over there that's looking like they're hungry, I better feed them. Or they look like. So you're in accordance with your reality, which has come up, so you're healing your own reality. With understanding that there isn't. It's appearing as separate, it is separate.
And it's seeing that being and seeing yourself.
Yeah, but I'm trying not to get you to go heady and spacey and go, oh, la la la, no, we're all one. No, you're over there and I'm over here. That's really how it's dependently arisen. It only can be that way because my mind and your mind together has projected it this way. But I need to heal that, because when you analyze it, that's impossible. We're not independent in that way. We are codependent. We are one. There is no other experience you're having than my words in your consciousness. And my words don't have any basis from their own side. You're imputing all the bases, but you're not choosing the imputing. Where the hell did that come from? It didn't come from me, because I'm trying to tell you something and all of you are interpreting them differently. You're creating the interpretation. In that sense, we're dependently arising. You are creating this whole experience. You have power to shift this whole experience. Recognizing we are the same experience, that it is a projection of your mind truly caused by what you did before the virtues. I'll go quick, I won't be long. Giving. Number one, giving. That whole impulse to want the other to have because it will serve them, and then color it, infect it, fill it with the sense of may they be free from suffering completely, meaning no more the five heaps, no more samsara. At some point you imagine that being waking up because of the interaction you had with them. For them, not for you. You have to trick yourself that way, otherwise it becomes a selfish karma. Yeah. Perfecting ethics. We covered that at the beginning of this course. I don't need to cover it, but basically three sets of ethics, one building upon each other. It just means taking care of others. 10 non-virtuous or patimoksha vows at the bare minimum, bodhisattva vows, the vows to take care of others, and then secret vows, the tantric vows, which work on the basis that if you find the strongest, most potential karmas, you can get a result of those for the sake of every living being in this one lifetime. Perfection of patience just means not getting angry when you should be. Yeah, when this world tells you must be. It just means stopping anger altogether, because it's the thing that cuts your root of virtue. And this one, thank you, Master Stephen, for reminding me the other day. Be happy doing good things. Because you trick yourself into doing more and more and more, and I'm a bit busy doing dharma, you know, and be happy that you've got the capacity to do magnificently beautiful things, even if they're tiny, in your realm, in your world, for yourself and for others. Just build that habit of just having joy, just having fun. And it's not resisting the goodness. You know, I don't want to be a good person. Just be silly, nice, happy. So you develop a state of mind that does that. And then the last two I want to talk, a little bit. This is perfecting concentration and perfecting wisdom. In the ultimate form, they are in tandem. And Tsongkhapa in his last few verses says you have to work with this. You must join these together. And this is, at the ultimate form, concentration begins with a minute of meditation, until, and this is the definition, okay? Meditative concentration, it's called shamatha. Meditative concentration, which is infused with extraordinary pleasure of agility, brought through being in a deep, one-pointed concentration upon a particular object of focus.
Whose definition is that?
That's Tsongkhapa's, yeah, based on Sangha, I think. But I can check, but it's in the scriptures.
Cool.
So they're talking about this agility. It's meditative concentration. It's not concentrating on my iPhone. It's concentration in your mind. It's your capacity to be single focused on an object. So it's a single focus, single pointed. Extraordinary pleasure. You get as a result extraordinary pleasure of having agility over your mind. The capacity to say, sit my body down, it's not moving for an hour. You have that capacity, that agility of body and mind. It's brought about through deep one-pointed concentration. And when you have that, your mind is colored with this pleasure that lets you stay and abide. The highest form of concentration is shamatha. You need to develop that practice. In tandem, you need to develop the perfection of wisdom, which is vipassana. Yeah, which means vision of emptiness or extraordinary vision. These two are a must for doing any of the paths. Yeah, but I'll give you that definition for a second. The last, I'll give you vipassana so you can at least have the inkling. A state of wisdom which is infused with extraordinary pleasure of agility, brought on by analyzing its particular object of focus, usually emptiness, based on a platform of shamatha, based on a platform of quietude. So that is a prerequisite for that. You still have this agility of mind and body, and you get this pleasure. And most people that are in the West, me included, think that meditation, promising that pleasure, is the reason to meditate. That we think we're going to get happy meditating, you know. This well-being, this wellness that comes from this practice is only ever gonna come if we sit and meditate. It's only ever gonna come if you've got this practiced ease. So I want to leave you with his last two lines. And Nick, can you read that or not?
Yeah. Thus having cultivated as they are the common paths, essential for the two supreme paths of causal and resultant causal and resultant great vehicles, I have entered the great ocean of tantras, by relying upon the leadership of the learned navigators, and through application of the quintessential instructions, I have made meaningful human existence that I have obtained. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation, too should do likewise.
So at the end of his personal advice says he's talked about refuge, he's talked about the lesser scope, the medium scope, the high scope. But right throughout he's saying you can be free from this washing machine turmoil that we call life. And if you're on an upward swing, that's nice, but don't forget you're not going to be there all the time. And that's not to depress you or anything, it's just fact. Your body's going to fall apart, your mind's going to fall apart, and you'll have to reset, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop for you, it doesn't stop for the 7 billion other creatures that wake up in the morning hoping they're going to get some respite because they're going to waste their life in some useless job, getting some useless house that would be finished, that would just be a problem that they'll get sued over. I'm not saying don't get a house, I'm not saying don't get a job, I'm saying find your means to give yourself the freedom to discover who you truly are. Like, there's infinite potential in this room for true enlightenment. It's not like some words. Freedom, complete freedom from the things that bind us to this experience we call, oh, this is my human life. We accept it. We're like stupid fleas that won't jump beyond the lid, and when they take the lid, they're still there. We're like the elephant that was chained up and won't leave that stick, and then they change the chain to a rope and he's still there. We're like that. We think this is it. It's not it. It takes no thinking at all. It's filled with beautiful instruction to say, get free. And many people have done it. Many people have done it, and they've shared enough information for you to do it. And for some reason, you're listening to it. For some reason, you've bumped into it. Make something beautiful of it. Make it yours. Don't just make it yours. We'll offer in a second. I want you to think of all these people who have made it as well. I want you to think about them before we dedicate. They come and go. They come and go here and visit us and tell us to go forward. So whatever intention you got, please give it to everyone to wake up.
Sashi
Kuki Jishin Metotram Rirab Linshin Yindegam Padi Sange Shindu Miteguarki Droku Nanda Shinla Juparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami
Gewa
Dikewokun Sunam Yeshe Soksokshin Sunam Yeshe Lejunwe Dampa Kunito Parsho. Thank you for listening and sharing and spending the time of your life considering these ideas. If they're projections, you're projecting something awesome.
Thank you.
Please stay. Next course starts October, middle of October. We'll put it up there. By that time, we'll know our new location for the 3 jewels. We haven't found the space. The space we thought we found fell through. So if any of you know of a space for rent or want to help, contact Steve and contact Steve. Yeah. Thank you. Be safe. Enjoy. Very nice weekend of leisure and fortune.
Nice graphics tonight.
Thank you very much. Trippy rainbow, man. I know, right? that's a good one. I didn't think of her. That's true. I kept in color the ones that are still alive.
Ah.
It's interesting how most of them are minorities, right? In brackets. In America, yeah. Like people who have been oppressed.
There's no beginning of this, there's no end of it. They have to still be alive.
No, they are, just not in the same, just not in the same frequency. Yeah. And then there's another way to think about it, but that's